So we are going to discuss how to configure auto scaling for a load balance. How to integrate auto scaling for a load balance. In our previous session, we have started up with auto scaling. Okay, the auto scaling is nothing but a feature by which you can scale up and scale down based upon your workload. Now we are going to attach it with the load balancer, and after that, once it is scale up or scale down in terms of load balancer, while attaching, we are going to create a cloud watch alarm. So this cloud watch alarm can do two things. Okay, one, it can make a scale up or it can make a scale down. So else the second option is it can be informed to send a notification SNS. Okay, simple notification service. Okay, in this case, in our notification, we have discussed about how to send a notification, email notification using SMS. Here we have a SMS. Okay, how to send a SMS notification has been left out. A simple thing. So if you want to send some SMS messages to certain numbers, we can make use of this SMS. So here, apart from attaching email information with CloudWatch, you can also send a bulk email. We have another service called a simple mail service. Okay, this is a SMS. This stands for simple mail service. We also have a discussion how to send a bulk mail to a set of users. Okay, so this will be discussed laterly. Today's discussion, we are going to take auto scaling, how to attach it with the existing load balancer. Okay, so after that, let me discuss something about RDS. Okay, in RDS, we are going to discuss about how to connect with MySQL, how to connect with Oracle, so how to connect with some nodes. Apart from that, how to connect with some additional databases that we are having here. Okay, how to create and how to configure a NoSQL database like MongoDB. Everything will be discussed. How to take a MongoDB from Amazon paid instance, that is from marketplace. How to connect with that. Everything will be discussed under RDS. Okay, so let me start with this auto scaling. So here, before going into this auto scaling, we can complete that small part of how to send a SMS notification. Okay, connect to our instance. Now go to this SNS to complete the remaining thing what we have left out. It will be under messaging service. Okay, so this is the thing that we have discussed. SES, a simple email service, simple notification service. In this sense, what we have discussed, how to create a topic, how to create a subscription, and how to publish a message. Similarly, you can also publish text messages also to a phone number here. You can click on this publish a simple thing, a text message. Okay, so whether you are going to attach it with a transaction message or any promotion, like you are going to give some ad like thing. Okay, so let me take anything. So here what you need to specify, you need to specify the number. Okay, can anyone let me know your number? Sanmohan sir or Subramanian, you just let me know your number. I will send a message using this SMS to you. Type it, yeah. Sanmohan sir for you, 98404. 9848404 52256 52256. double two five six. Okay, simply you want to specify a message. Hi sir, welcome. Sender Raman GS. Okay. Now you can simply click on send the message. You can send a message sending some information. Someone answer, did you receive the message? Yes. You should have a load balancer already pre-configured. Okay. We have this load balancer already, web server 1, web server 2. Let me start our ELB. Here in this sense, what you need to do, so if you want to integrate a load balancer or any other thing uh, along with this auto scaling, in this launch configuration, you need to specify a AMI. Which information that we will be specifying in this launch configuration? So while creating a auto scaling group, okay. So here you have this web server 1 and web server 2, two web servers. Okay. So these web servers, on front of it, you will be having elastic load balancer, and all the user requests will go through this elastic load balancer. Elastic load balancer will receive the requests and it will redistribute evenly across these two web server 1 and web server 2. This is the concept behind that. Whereas in case of this auto scaling, what are all the features that we want to create in our auto scaling? You want to create a launch configuration. First thing, the launch configuration will specify what are all the resources in terms of the CPU, sorry, in terms of memory, in terms of storage, in terms of security group, in terms of key, everything that you need to specify here. In this sense, if and this auto scaling should contain an auto scaling group, you should form a group. In this group, you should specify the minimum number and you should specify the maximum number. Okay, if this auto scaling is going to be attached with this ELB, the minimum value that you need to specify at any point of time, you need to run minimum 3 servers, minimum 2 servers. It is the group is going to associate with this ELB. In elastic load balancer, minimum requirement, you need to have 2 servers to distribute the load. Then the maximum, let me specify, if you specify 4 or anything, what happened here in this case? Assume that each and every web server can able to, web server 1 can able to handle 1000 requests. Web server 2 with this configuration at an average, sorry, they can handle 2000 requests. If the number of requests rises to 2500, in this case, what we need to do here, we want to write a scaling policy. You want to write a scaling policy. So the scaling policy should have conditions when to scale up and when to scale down. So when you want to perform a addition of resources, when you want to perform a removal of resources. In this sense, what condition that you want to give here is, you can specify 2 things. If you know how much of workload this particular web server can handle, you can specify the number of incoming requests to the web server. This is one option. Okay, you can specify this option, number of incoming requests. For example, if the number of incoming requests is greater than 2200, let me make it. So let me add additional server. So here, in this case, you can add each and every time you want to change this incoming request. Okay, if you have now three servers, then if the number of input requests, if it is greater than 3,200 or 3,300, you want to add additional servers like that. So instead of that specifying the value number of incoming requests directly, what you can do is you can specify the average CPU utilization. If the average CPU utilization is greater than 95% and above, for continuously for let me make it 1 hour, okay, you can make a scale up. If the average CPU utilization is less than 40%, again, once again, continuously for 1 hour or 2 hours, you need to perform a scale down. You release one instance. This is the plan that you want to specify in this scale up and scale down. So in this sense, if you want to make a scale up where the instances need to be got, since you have attached associated with this auto scaling group, so here the maximum number of instances specified is 4. This group is already containing 2 instances. What happened? An instance will be launched from the auto scaling group if this scale up condition is satisfied. Assume you have web server 1 and web server 2. The average workload of this web server is greater than 95%. It will automatically add one additional web server 3. When you add this web server 3, where it will be added from this auto scaling group, under which the auto scaling will refer, what is the CPU, what is the memory and storage, it will refer for this launch configuration. Under launch configuration, what you need to specify, you need to specify a AMI. Okay, what is the operating system, what are all the associated hardware, what is the security key, what is the security group that need to be attached, everything need to be specified in the launch configuration. Since this web server is containing certain predefined configuration, what you need to do in this sense, okay, in this sense, what you need here is you want to specify a AMI. It is not a public AMI. You want to specify your own AMI. A private AMI need to be created. Okay, you want to create a public AMI. On top of it, what are all the configuration that you need to do? You need to configure all those things. In this sense, you need to configure a web server. Let me take in another case. If you are going to attach, you are having your Hadoop cluster here. Imagine if you are going to attach this auto scaling group to Hadoop cluster. In this sense, what you need to do here, this Hadoop cluster need to be done with several configurations. Okay, you need a Ubuntu operating system. The Ubuntu operating system you can get it from this public AMI. So on top of it, you need to configure a language, programming language. You need to configure Java. You need to configure SSH server. You need to generate keys by using SSH key generation. You need to download and configure Hadoop. Okay, you need to download and configure Hadoop. So you need to populate along 8 configuration files. Okay, you need to populate these files. After that only you can start the services. So here imagine you have initially 2 servers. Your cluster, Hadoop cluster consists of 2 servers. In this sense, if you want to launch additional server, the server need to be already configured with the above set things. You can't launch a server and you are connecting to a server, you can't able to configure all the things. It should be in such a manner that whenever it is launched from auto scaling group, it should be pre-configured. That is the key thing associated with this. How you can make it? You can make use of this by using the concept of creating a private AMI. Now we are going to discuss about how to create. Okay, here for this sort of things, what we need to do, you want to create a private AMI. So how to create a, you want to create a private AMI and you want to register the AMI. So then only, so here in this launch configuration, while it is associated with this elastic load balancer like thing, or associated with this Hadoop cluster like thing, you need to specify this private AMI in this launch configuration. Now we are going to discuss how to create a private AMI. Okay, so what you need to do, you first you take a public AMI and configure what are all the things on top of it. Okay, in this web server, we are going to launch a web server using the Amazon AMI. Also because we have already having Amazon AMI in our web server. On top of it, we are going to configure this Apache web server. Okay, first you take this public AMI, Amazon AMI, and configure Apache web server on top of it. And these services need to be containing some what are all the informations that you need to specify. Here in this case, in index.html, you will be specifying some static web pages. Those information, everything need to be configured here. So then after configuring all those things, you create a private AMI. Then this private AMI will be listed in your tag. Then in this launch configuration, you want to specify this private AMI. That's all. Okay, this is the step that we are going to discuss now. Whenever you have to launch a web server, imagine that in our case, you are having two web server 1 and web server 2. So your number of load increases. What happened here is from this launch configuration, a new web server 3 will be loaded. This web server is based upon this private AMI. The private AMI, being it is configured with the above settings, a newly launched web server is also containing all the above settings. Okay, so once it is maximum ELB instance, it is your choice. You can go up scaling, no issue. There, okay, I will let you know in this rule. So for each and every account, there is a limitation. We want to look into these rules. Okay, so you can specify at the maximum with some limitations. Okay, and auto scaling rules, it will be specified. At the end, I will come to the discussion. So once it is launched, what happened here? The ELB, what it will do? Now it will evenly redistribute the load across all these three web servers. Okay, now we are going to discuss about how to create a private AMI. So let me create a private AMI. From this itself, we are already having web server 1. From this, we can create this private AMI. Okay, let me check whether this web server is working properly or not. Copy. Okay, so you want to start the services. Being the services, the system has been down. The services might have been stopped. Copy to make a connection with the putty. Host name, paste. SSH authentication. You want to specify the key file. This mala. Open. Open. Yes. EC2 hyphen user. EC2 hyphen user. Now you got connected. Apply. Okay. So here you can find out sudo service httpd status. Now the service has been stopped. Service name start. You can start the services. The services is currently now running. Now you can find a web server 1. Similarly, for your web server 2, you can also start this. Now the web server 1 is running. Here you are going to create a private AMI from this web server 1. So now whenever you create a private AMI, where it will be listed? The private AMI will be listed under this instance. While launching the instance, you will be having these following options: My AMI, AWS Marketplace, Commodity AMIs like this. When you create a private AMI and register with Amazon, it will be listed under this My AMI. You can find this My AMI is found to be empty now. Once you create this private AMI and registered with AWS, you can find your AMI will be listed here now. Okay, let me create a private AMI. Choose the instance under which you are going to create a private AMI. Click on actions. Okay, click on actions. Here there is an option launch more like this. What it will do? It will create another machine of the opposite caliber, but it won't be pre-configured as software private AMI. It will create another machine. Okay, let launch more like this. Let me launch another one. You choose this the same AMI. You choose the same key and launch the instance. But what happened here in this case is, if you launch this, a new machine will be created, similar to that of web server 1, but that machine won't be configured with the web server. It will create only a machine associated with the EC2 only. That is the thing. Okay? Launch more like this. You can launch another copy of WS1, but with this hardware alone, the same set of hardware, the same security group, and the same key, excluding the what are all the services that you have configured. It won't be available here. Okay, we will make a check whether web server 1 is configured with the opposite services. This is let me make it to web server 1 new, web server 1 new. Now let me connect to this web server 1 new and make a check. Copy. Let me create a new session. Host name, SSH, authentication, browse. You specify the key, open. Yes. Now you can find EC2-user. It got authenticated. Okay. So this is a web server 2. This is web server 1 that we have created now. Okay. So now if you find this service, you can find, if you find this status of this service. Service HTTPD status, you can find unrecognized service. So here the service is already running. Service status, service is already configured, but in this machine the service is not configured. You can find the status unrecognized services. It shows that if you create another computer by choosing this option of like this, what happened here in this case is, it will create a computer. Okay, if you go to the action launch more like this, but it won't be pre-configured with what you have configured from this source computer. So that is the thing associated. Okay, now what we are going to do, we are going to create a private AMI. How to create a AMI? Click on this image. Here you want to specify create an image. Okay, this is the way by which you need to create. So these are all some additional things. If you want to attach creating, you can directly attach to this autoscaling group. We will discuss here in this sense. Click on this image and create image. Which one we are choosing? Okay, from this web server 1, choose the web server 1. Go to action, image, create an image. It prompts you for a image name. You want to specify an image name. Web server. Image description. Okay. So Apache web server with the following AMI. Amazon AMI. Okay. So it prompts you whether you are going to add a new volume, whether the volume need to be encrypted like this. So if you want to attach a new disk at the time of creation, so you can able to do it. Then you simply click on create image. The okay, a create image request has been received. Okay, here it will be created. So whenever you go and click launch on instance, you can find under my AMI the image is created. Web server, what you have currently specified, this image will be created. So if you want to launch a machine based upon this web server, what happened here in this case is, okay, if you choose this AMI and if you simply launch, it will launch a machine with all the pre-configuration. You just choose this the same key, you launch an instance here. Okay, it need to be registered. Just now we have created, it should some time for registering. Okay, the status is in pending state. Let me wait now. It took some time for registering. Click on this AMI. The AMI status is found to be pending state. Once it is in registered state, you can able to choose this AMI to launch a new instance. We will show. I will share you, Sadiq, I will share you the last class video, no issue. Okay, choose my AMI and choose this web server, and you can configure the, if you want to change any other thing, if you want to change additional storage. Okay, let me make a tag, let me make a, it is a name and value is private WS web server 3. Okay, private, let me give a name. The security group, we can make use of this the same security group, okay, or existing security group as that of your current instance. Okay, what is the security group for your instance? So for this instance, which is already running, the security group is launch wizard 12. You can make use of the same thing. Okay, while creating this, you can make use of the same thing. While launch an instance, the security group, you can choose 12. Okay, while specifying this in your auto scaling group, the default security group will be taken. Okay, let me launch my AMI. Select. Okay, configure instance details, the option, add storage, add a tag. Okay, let me add a tag, name, private AMI web server, configure security group. Let me choose existing group, that is your group 12, which contains all the associated rules. Okay, it contains a traffic perimeter to 8080. Okay, also it provides a traffic to SSH, review and launch, and you launch. Now choose the same keypad. Okay, voila 6. In this sense, what happens here, to newly created, you can find a new instance is created. To this newly created instance, You no need to configure a web server. It will be already pre-configured. What you need to do, you want to run the service. That's all. You want to invoke the service. Apart from that, you no need to do anything. Okay, it is in running state. Let me connect to this private AMI web server. Right click, copy, open a putty, new session, simply paste, SSH, authentication, you specify your key, yes, login as EC2 hyphen user. Yes, it will be created automatically. Instance will be created automatically. Change settings, appearance. Okay, this is the currently created AMI. To differentiate from others, that we create this AMI. Now you can find we have three AMIs. One is the base AMI from which we have created. Okay, this is the base AMI. This is the second AMI which we have launched similar to this. In this case, if you type service HTTP status, it shows that it is an unrecognized service. This is the third AMI that we have created. Okay, if you simply specify this service, okay, you can find service name HTTPD status. In this, you can find HTTPD is stopped. The service is pre-configured. What you need to do? Simply, you want to start the service. That's all. The services need to be started. After that, if you open a new URL in your web browser, and if you simply copy the corresponding, open this, simply copy this DNS address, automatically it will open a web server. Since we have launched it from web server 1, it shows it is web server 1. So this is the way by which you can create a private AMI from a public AMI. Yes, this private AMI need to be attached with this auto scaling group. So while specifying, you have created this. So here in your auto scaling group, you want to attach your launch configuration. In the launch configuration, you want to specify this private AMI in your launch configuration. Automatically, when the machine is launched from this launch configuration into this, if you have attached this ELB elastic load balancer, on top of it, the private AMI contains being a web server pre-configured, the newly launched machine into this elastic load balancer by this auto scaling will contain the following information. Okay, this is the way by which you can make use of creating a private AMI and registering the AMI, and laterly you can invoke this AMI in auto scaling group and attach it to ELB. This is the basic thing associated with how you can attach a ELB. That's all. So all other things are simple. What you need to specify, you go to your auto scaling group. If you have any auto scaling group or if you have any ELB, let me check. I think so. I had a load balancer. We are having a load balancer Thermula. Okay, it contains the following two listener, HTTP the listener, and here if you go to this target group, you can find the target which is number of availability zones. Now you find this both the target. It need to register. Okay, register the targets. It is showing that it is unhealthy. None of these availability zones containing a healthy target. Okay, since I had deleted something on the day, I think so. Now you can find an unhealthy host. You have currently two unhealthy hosts, and you are having zero healthy hosts. Okay, services. Click on EC2. I think so. The target group I initially registered, I had terminated. Okay, you have these two web server. You need to create this new target group. Let me discuss how to let me create a new target group and attach these two instance, and let me create that ELB with this auto scaling. So in this auto scaling, what you need to specify here while creating this auto scaling group, in this launch configuration, you need to specify this AMI. That's all. Okay, while creating auto scaling group, the first thing what you need to specify, you need to create a launch configuration. In this launch configuration, if we click on, if we choose my AMI, that AMI need to be chosen in the launch configuration. That's all. Configure. Now the name of the configuration is, let me make it to 0 ELB, Elastic Load Balancer. Okay, so IIM role nothing, CloudWatch monitoring, add storage. So before going into that, let me add configure details to Elastic Load Balancer attached with auto scaling. Here click on this advanced options, so here you can write a script. Let me discuss laterly. Okay, here we will be having discussion of assignment of IP addresses once our discussion on VPC has been over. Whether all the machine that is going to be launched, if it is needed to be assigned with the public IP, you want to choose this option. Else you can choose this VPC or a subnet which you launch as a public subnet. This thing that laterly we can make use of it. Okay, so let me click on the next. Configure the security group. You can specify the same security group. The security group, that is security group 12. Why so? Because being we are going to configure this as a web server, review and create a launch configuration. That's all. Okay, the key pair that you can make use of is the same key pair. So now we have created a launch configuration with this following specification. Okay, with the following EC2 group. Now you want to specify a group name. Let me specify the same through underscore elastic load balancer underscore auto scaling. Okay, so here we need to specify the location in this advanced details. Okay, in these advanced details only you can specify whether you need to receive traffic from this load balancer. So if you click on receive traffic from load balancer, it will simply specify the load balancer name. Click on here. Okay, the load balancer will be listed. If you have configured that load balancer, the load balancer will be listed. Since I had dropped the load balancer that I had configured, it is not listing here. Okay, so what we are going to do now in this today's session, we have discussed how to create a private AMI. and how to attach this AMA into this launch configuration. And since it is already running time 7:30, I want to be office at 8:15. What I am going to do here in next class on tomorrow, we will discuss how to attach this private AMA into launch configuration by creating a new elastic load balancer and attaching the target. So since the existing load balancer is not working properly because of some modification that I did, let me make use of the same thing for tomorrow's session. Now, if you have any doubt with respect to today's session, let me please let me know. So as per as auto scaling, instance will create automatically, scale up and scale down. Yes, but you want to write when you need to scale up, when you need to scale down, Sadi. When you want to add an instance, when you want to remove an instance, you need to specify in this rule. Okay, I had shown you a rule auto scale while creating this auto scaling rule. It will prompt you for a rule, scale up rule and scale down rule. In this, you want to specify when to scale up, when to scale down. In this scaling policy. Okay, in this scaling policy, click on using scaling policy. You can find the above set matrices: average CPU utilization, average networking. Okay, so request count per target load balancer. In this case, if you specify average CPU utilization, the target value, if it is 95 and okay, you want to specify some target value. If it is average is 95 percentage, okay, what you need to do, what are all the associated scaling policies that we will discuss. Okay, so in this perspective, we will be having discussion on tomorrow's session. If you have any doubt, ECS instance, what service that you are asking? Container is a separate thing. Laterally we will discuss. You want to aware of the concept of Docker. Docker creating a lightweight component using Dockers and containers can also be applicable here. For that, the service is Amazon Container Services (CCT). The thing will be discussed under our DevOps. Container service is nothing but Docker. How to create a Docker image here. Okay. So with this, let me conclude today's session. You will be receiving the video of a previous session and today's session.